Imagine a tiny island that could trigger a world war, a place that defies the rules of geopolitics and challenges the might of a superpower, a nation that stands for democracy in a sea of authoritarianism. That's Taiwan, a land of mystery and controversy, caught between two giants, China and the United States. Welcome to Living History. Now, Taiwan is not just any small island nation. Located off the southeast coast of mainland China, it has a vibrant democracy, a thriving economy, and a strong cultural identity. It is also a key partner for many countries in the region and beyond, especially the United States. Taiwan's role in the global politics landscape is crucial, as it stands as a counterweight to China's growing influence and assertiveness. Critically, Taiwan is situated in the so-called First Island Chain, which is a series of archipelagos that stretch from the Kuril Islands near Russia to Borneo near Malaysia. These islands form a natural barrier that limits China's access to the Pacific Ocean. If China were to take control of Taiwan, it could potentially break through this barrier and project power in the Western Pacific region, posing a threat to US military bases and allies as far away as Guam and Hawaii. Taiwan's importance goes beyond its strategic location, though. It is also a leader in the global technology industry, with a strong presence in various sectors such as information and communication technology, biotechnology, green energy, and smart manufacturing. One of the most prominent examples of Taiwan's technological prowess is Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, TSMC, the world's largest semiconductor foundry. TSMC produces chips for major tech companies like Apple, Intel, and Nvidia, making it an indispensable player in the global tech industry. TSMC's chips power devices such as smartphones, computers, gaming consoles, and cars, as well as emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence, 5G, and cloud computing. This technology industry is a threat to China for several reasons. First, it gives Taiwan an economic edge and a sort of soft power in the region and beyond. Second, it enables Taiwan to develop advanced weapons and defense systems that could deter or resist a Chinese invasion. Third, it creates a strategic dependency for China on Taiwan's chips, especially for its high-tech sectors such as telecommunications, aerospace, and military, which China has been trying to reduce by investing heavily in its own semiconductor industry. But it still significantly lags behind Taiwan in terms of quality and quantity. And finally, it attracts the support and protection of the United States and other allies who rely on Taiwan's chips for their own security and economic interests. Now, China views Taiwan as a renegade province that must be brought back into the fold by any means necessary. China's President Xi Jinping has repeatedly declared that reunification with Taiwan must be fulfilled, and has not ruled out the use of force to achieve this goal, even if it means war. However, Taiwan regards itself as a sovereign and independent nation with its own constitution and democratically elected leaders. Taiwan's people have repeatedly rejected China's claims and demands, and have shown their desire to maintain their freedom and democracy. The situation between Taiwan and China is further complicated by their overlapping claims in the South China Sea, a disputed region rich in resources and vital for global trade. The South China Sea is home to some of the world's busiest shipping lanes, through which about a third of global maritime trade passes. It also contains abundant fish stocks and potentially huge reserves of oil and gas. China claims almost the entire South China Sea as its own territory, based on a vague historical map known as the Nine-Dash Line. This claim is rejected by Taiwan and other neighboring countries such as Brunei, Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, and Vietnam, who have their own claims based on international law. Amidst all this, the US has been backing Taiwan's claims and presence in the region, while challenging China's actions by sending warships and planes near China's artificial islands and military bases. The US claims to be defending freedom of navigation and overflight in the region, as well as upholding international rules and norms, while China, on the other hand, accuses the US of interfering in its internal affairs and militarizing the region. As a result, the South China Sea has become a flashpoint for potential conflict between the two superpowers, as well as a test of their resolve and credibility. Any miscalculation or accident could spark a major crisis, or even a third world war. Now that we have addressed why Taiwan matters so much to the fate of the world, a new set of questions arises. How did Taiwan become such a hotspot? How did it go from being a remote outpost to a global player? To answer these questions, we need to go a little back in time and explore the history of this fascinating island, which will make you think twice about its role in the world. Taiwan's captivating story begins with its original inhabitants, the indigenous tribes who thrived on the island for thousands of years. The world, however, largely overlooked them until the 17th century. We will do the same to fast forward things a bit. In 1624, along came the Dutch, looking to stake their claim and turn Taiwan into their new colony. But let's just say they weren't the most considerate colonizers. They shamelessly exploited the island's resources and even went as far as enslaving the natives. For almost 5 decades, the Dutch ruled Taiwan with an iron fist. However, after a series of epic battles, the Qing dynasty of China showed the Dutch who's boss and took over Taiwan in 1683. For the next 200 years, Taiwan became an integral part of the Qing Empire, but little did Taiwan know, a monumental change was about to shake things up. The arrival of Japan. In 1894, Japan and China locked horns over the hotly contested territory of Korea, with Taiwan caught right in the middle. The war didn't go so well for China, and it had no choice but to surrender and bid farewell to Taiwan, handing it over to Japan. This is when things started to get really interesting, because meanwhile, back on the Chinese mainland, the mighty Qing dynasty had been dethroned by the Republic of China, led by the charismatic Chiang Kai-shek and his Kuomintang KMT party. But as fate would have it, the KMT had a formidable rival, the Chinese Communist Party, CCP. The CCP dreamt of turning China into a socialist paradise, while the KMT wanted to keep things nationalistic. And thus a decades-long civil war began. However, when World War II broke out, the civil war had to take a back seat, as both the KMT and the CCP had a common enemy: Japan. They put aside their differences, sort of, and joined forces to take on the invaders. When Japan finally waved the white flag in 1945, it relinquished all its colonies, including Taiwan, which was then handed over to the Republic of China, still under the leadership of the KMT. But guess what? The civil war between the KMT and the CCP was far from over, and this time it was the CCP's turn to shine. In 1949, they declared the People's Republic of China, PRC, and gave the KMT a taste of their own medicine. The KMT had no choice but to flee, and their last refuge happened to be Taiwan, their beloved stronghold, where they remain to this day. After World War II, Taiwan's fate was shaped by factors such as the One China policy and mainland China's rising power. This policy, which views Taiwan as a part of a unified China, remains a contentious and debated issue. The People's Republic of China, PRC, firmly asserts its claim over Taiwan, considering it as rightfully belonging to them and reserving the right to reclaim it whenever they desire. Conversely, Taiwan sees itself as an independent and sovereign nation, fully capable of determining its own destiny. Caught in the middle, the United States finds itself grappling with the complexities of both sides, acknowledging the validity of their arguments while also recognizing the challenges they present. Further contributing to the confusion is the international community's struggle to determine which China is considered legitimate: the Republic of China, ROC, or the People's Republic of China, PRC. Historically, the United States and many Western countries recognize the ROC as the true representative of China, while communist nations recognize the PRC. It wasn't until the 1970s that most of the world shifted in its stance and acknowledged the PRC as the real China. Amidst this intricate backdrop, Taiwan emerged as a sanctuary for the Kuomintang, KMT, who established their own government and economic infrastructure on the island. Over time, Taiwan experienced an extraordinary transformation, earning its moniker as the Taiwan Miracle. The country achieved remarkable prosperity and success, garnering global recognition as one of the 4 Asian tigers and asserting its influence in the world economy. During this period, the United States played a significant role in supporting Taiwan's development, but it also fostered diplomatic diplomatic ties with mainland China, recognizing its growing significance and influence on the world stage. As of 2023, tensions between Taiwan and China are at an all-time high. The world watches nervously as Taiwan stands firm against China's aggression. In June 2023, US Secretary of State Antony Blinken visited Beijing for a high-stakes diplomatic trip to try to cool down the situation, but prospects for a breakthrough were low. Former US Secretary of State Henry Kissinger also warned that a military conflict between China and Taiwan was probable, unless the current trajectory of relations was altered. Meanwhile, China continued to flex its muscles by sending warplanes and warships across the median line of the Taiwan Strait, prompting Taiwan to scramble its own fighters and deploy missile systems. According to Pentagon War Games, a potential war with China over Taiwan could result in massive losses on both sides and devastate Taiwan's economy. If you want to know more about how China is geopolitically restricted by an independent Taiwan and its neighbors in the South China Sea, we urge you to watch our next video linked here, where we explore China's biggest fear and the Malacca Dilemma. Now it's your turn, viewers. Tell us in the comments what you think about Taiwan's history and its role in the world. Do you think there will be a war over Taiwan or a peaceful solution? This is Living History signing out.